And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. 888-589-8840 is the number to call. And we're going to get to your phone calls here in just one moment. Let's play one more soundbite before we take phone calls. This is Candy Crowley. That's the Candy Crowley clip. Now, she's talking with David Axelrod. This is on September 30. Remember, Candy Crowley's out there last night defending Barack Obama. Mitt Romney, you got to understand, Governor, he called this thing an act of terror the next day. I'm taking sides in this debate. You're wrong. The president is right. He called it an act of terror. Then she admits after the debate, she doesn't even know what the quote was. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She can't even quote the president accurately, but she's sure that he called it an act of terror, but can't even remember what he said. And here, 2 weeks later, the attack happened on 9/11. Here she's talking to David Axelrod on September 30, and she gets all up in David Axelrod's kitchen because why did it take you guys so long to call this thing an act of terror? Why did you say this was all about the video for 2 weeks? What the problem is? That's what she's saying to David Axelrod. Let's listen.
There is a back and forth now about why did it take them until Friday after a September 11th attack in Libya to come to the conclusion that it was premeditated and that there was terrorists involved. John McCain said it doesn't pass the smell test or it's willful ignorance to think that they didn't know before this what was going on. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, Candy, as you know, the president called it an act of terror the day after it happened. But when you're the responsible party, when you're the administration, then you have a responsibility to act on what you know and what the intelligence community believes. This is being thoroughly investigated because we need to bring it to justice.
First they said it wasn't planned, it was part of this tape, all that stuff.
As the director of national intelligence said on Friday, that was the original information that was given to us. What we don't need is a president or administration that shoots first and asks questions later. And Governor Romney leaped out on this Libya issue on the first day and was terribly mistaken about what he said. That is not what you want in a president of the United States. And as for Senator McCain, for whom I have great respect, he's disapproved of our approach to Libya from the beginning, including the strategy that brought Gaddafi
to justice. But this has to do with not the approach to Libya, but the murder of 4 Americans in Libya. And didn't the administration shoot first? Didn't they come out and say, listen, as far as we can tell, this wasn't pre-planned, this was just a part of
at this point, this is what we know, and we are thoroughly investigating. And that's exactly what you should do.
Now, Obama's got a huge problem here because the intelligence community told him within 24 hours that this was a terrorist attack. They knew this within 24 hours. They knew that the State Department never once concluded or thought this had anything to do with the video, and Candy Crowley understands that. And she said, look, you guys, now last night she's saying, yeah, President Obama called this thing an act of terror the next day. Here, September 30, talking to David Axelrod, she says, no, Mr. Axelrod, the first thing you guys said is that this was not planned. It was a part of this tape and all that stuff. So she challenges Axelrod. Axelrod's out there saying, no, the president called it an act of terror the day after. And she said, no, you guys didn't say that. You said it was not planned. You said it was all a spontaneous reaction to this tape. And Axelrod accuses Mitt Romney of shooting first and asking questions later. And she says, no, that's what you guys did. You guys shot first by saying this thing was all about a spontaneous reaction to the tape. That's what you guys did. You guys were the ones that came out and said this wasn't pre-planned. It was just part of a mob demonstration. So Candy Crowley looking real bad in the process of serving as someone who's supposed to be the objective moderator. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Paul, Wilmington, North Carolina. Paul, thanks for calling. You're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Brian, for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you call exactly right. I mean, with liberals, it's they take things out of context and they twist them. With studying the Bible, how important it is to read something in its context, and how many people, especially on the left. Now, it's okay if they do it, but if we would take something out of context as conservatives, they're all with that.
Yeah, because the rules don't apply to them, right?
No, they don't, and they make them up as they go along. And you notice with the left and with this administration, and and he takes notes from the Clinton administration, how they usually will say something very generically, and then they will apply it in different ways depending on who the audience is. He said that general act of terror, which actually in the context was talking about 9/11 and other terrorist events, not specifically addressing. And then, he went on the gambit of talk shows and, totally buffering and not wanting to offend any of the his Islamic friends.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. So, well, and it's interesting to me. And let me ask you this question, Paul, before I let you go. I'm looking at people trying to analyze this thing. Who won the thing? I got a CBS poll. Romney won 65-34 on the economy. CNN, Romney wins 54-40 on the economy, 49-46 on health care, 51-44 on taxes, 59-36 on the deficit, 49-46 on leadership. All of them in favor of Romney. But then CBS says registered voters says that Obama won the debate, 37-30. CNN, they polled registered voters. They say Obama won 46-39. It's just weird. So Romney hoses Obama on every issue that's going to determine the election decisively. But both of the polls say, oh, no, Obama won the election. And here's Michael Barone, whom I highly respect. He's a very intelligent political analyst. He said he thought the first debate was like the Battle of the Little Bighorn. That's where Custer got slaughtered by Sitting Bull and the Sioux. But he said the second one was more like one of those Civil War battles where you got a lot of bodies on the ground, but you really don't know who won and who lost. He thought Obama looked angry and defensive most of the night. So let me ask you this, Paul. In your opinion, who do you think won the debate last night?
Well, on substance, certainly Mitt Romney did. They have different scales that they use. When they do polls, I know you had a caller the other day that actually said that a polling group had tried to corner her into either saying Obama's policies had no effect or that they had a positive effect and didn't give her the option of saying it had a negative effect. I think it depends on what questions they ask, if it's a thorough evaluation of the performance on substance or if it's just laying hits, jabs here, jabs there, as they like to do. So, I think on substance and on truth, and, there's just no defense of this economy.
Mm-hmm.
The one gentleman who asked President Obama what he's done to earn his vote, he totally talked about different things that had nothing to do with, I'm sure, with this gentleman's life. I took it as this gentleman was probably looking for work.
Yeah, and President Obama gave him no reason to be optimistic about what the next 4 years might be. And I thought the first half of the debate, it was kind of even Steven, just from kind of a debate standpoint. But I thought in the second half of the debate that President Obama got very defensive. He was on the defense for most of the second half of the debate. I thought Romney, was kind of working him into a corner and working the body pretty hard. And Obama had his gloves up trying to protect the body from the blows. And I thought he got pretty testy with Governor Romney at one point. So I thought clearly second half that Romney was the dominant of the two in the debate. Yeah. All right, Paul, well, listen, thank you for the call. I appreciate that. Let's go to John in Greenville, Mississippi. John, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. Talk to me.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I got a couple of quick points. My wife and I were watching the debate last night, and we're noticing that the president and the governor both were sparring over the Libyan issue. I don't know if anybody else picked up on this, but it seemed that the president, when he made the comment towards and really kind of like he prompted Candy Crowley, get the transcript is what he said. It's like, and I noticed at that time Candy Crowley looked down at paper.
Oh, I see. So you're thinking.
Anybody else pick up on that? That in other words, my question there then is, how would they both know that she had how would he know she had a copy of a transcript there? And
well, that was interesting, because I think what President Obama was saying, I want you to check the transcript of my remarks in the Rose Garden. I think that he wasn't talking to Candy Crowley, telling her to check the transcript in front of her. She was telling Mitt Romney and the audience, look, go back and check the transcript of my remarks in the Rose Garden, where he used the phrase, no acts of terror, plural, talking generically. And see, that's his cover. He's trying to say, hey, what I was really talking about was what happened at the consulate. But, and I don't think Candy Crowley had a transcript in front of her, because when she was in the after debate thing, she couldn't even quote Obama. She couldn't even remember exactly what he said. I mean, I didn't do the research she said she did, and I know exactly what phrase President Obama used, no acts of terror. That's exactly what he said. She didn't even know that. So if she'd had a transcript in front of her, I think she would have been a little more accurate. But that's an interesting question. Not sure what the answer to that is, John, but I appreciate the call. Let's go to Monty, Culpeper, Virginia. Monty, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Brian, as you know, that we who are conservatives intend to have a little courtesy and dignity and politeness. I'm sorry about liberals that they have lost it, just like public schools have lost it. They don't teach manners anymore. You don't have Christ and so forth. But my concern is, Brian, that Romney could just say about President Obama that you were the number one, when you were a senator, you were the number one pro-abortion supporter. You still are in the White House. Your policies are liberal, and you know that you have a history of not showing up to meetings. And when you do show up to meetings, even security, as he was in the Senate, what did they say? He voted 130 times present. I don't want somebody representing me that can't make their mind up to make a decision. But, Brian, it truly, Mitt Romney is truly more dignified and chooses to have manners. You can get under anybody's skin, but he still tries to be courteous, and he still addresses the president that way, and that's the way we should do it.
All right. Well, listen, thank you, Monty. I appreciate that call. And, Monty was referring to the fact that the issue of marriage and abortion didn't come up last night at all. And, of course, if they weren't asked about it, then you have to drag it in by the hair. But, Mitt Romney now is really trying to paint himself as moderately as he possibly can on social issues. He's not bringing up marriage, not bringing up abortion. He's running an ad out there now today. CNN Political Tracker just saw the story here, where he's trying to paint himself as moderate as he possibly can on the abortion issue. Here's a young woman in the ad who says, those ads saying Mitt Romney would ban all abortions and contraception seemed a bit extreme, so I looked into it, the girl in the ad says. Turns out Romney doesn't oppose contraception at all. I don't know any candidate who does. In fact, he thinks abortion should be an option in cases of rape, incest, or to save a mother's life. Now, that's true, but kind of the way that that's put is intended to paint him moderate. He thinks abortion should be an option. That's what voters are going to hear. Focal Point, AFR Talk.